I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome you all to the 2014 annual dinner for the Titusville YWCA. Ashley, our executive director, did not give me my guide, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. But we are going to take the opportunity to watch this quick video before we eat. You're going to hear a little piece from President Obama.
When Trayvon Martin was first shot, I said that this could have been my son. Another way of saying that is Trayvon Martin could have been me 35 years ago. And when you think about why, in the African American community at least, there's a lot of pain around what happened here, I think it's important to recognize that the African American community is looking at this issue through a set of experiences and a history that doesn't go away. There are very few African American men in this country who haven't had the experience of being followed when they were shopping in a department store. That includes me. There are very, very few African American men who haven't had the experience of walking across the street and hearing the locks click on the doors of cars. That happens to me, at least before I was a senator. There are very few African Americans who haven't had the experience of getting on an elevator and a woman clutching her purse nervously and holding her breath until she had a chance to get off. That happens often. And I don't want to exaggerate this, but those sets of experiences inform how the African American community interprets what happened one night in Florida. And it's inescapable for people to bring those experiences to bear. The African American community is also knowledgeable that there is a history of racial disparities in the application of our criminal laws. Everything from the death penalty to enforcement of our drug laws. And that ends up having an impact in terms of how people interpret the case.
You are all likely familiar with the Beatitudes, Jesus' teaching from the New Testament. The Beatitudes, while expressing hope for the time, come to also address the common human experience of feelings of inadequacy and unworthiness. In her book, Until Today, Ywca Van Zandt rewrites the Beatitudes this way. Blessed are those who have done all they know how to do. When they stop, God starts. Blessed are those who doubt their importance to God. God will never give up on them. Blessed are those who resist the urge to prove themselves. They are the owners of true wealth. Blessed are those who understand that life is a process of growth and healing. They will grow and their minds will be healed. Blessed are those who don't beat themselves up for making mistakes. They will live a peaceful, filled life. Blessed are those who realize they are doing the best they can. They go within themselves to find a better way. Blessed are those who hold no againstness. They will be open to new ideas and insights. Blessed are those who keep working together, a better understanding of life, of others, and of the truth of who they are. They will immediately find the truth. It is important for each of us to realize, remember, and be thankful for the blessings we have been given by God. May we use the knowledge of these blessings each day as we serve women and children throughout our community and our world. We ask God now that He bless the food we are about to enjoy and those who have prepared it. May we be strengthened in body, mind, and spirit to do the work we have been called to do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I'd like to take a moment to introduce our board members. So if you could all please stand, and I'll introduce you as I say your name. There you go. Sherry Hamilton is our treasurer. We have Vice President Trish Ongley. Well, I want to see you on camera right here. Look at Luke. Say hi. Okay. Ashley Thompson. Lori Hopman. Mary Nicholson. Am I missing an? Oh, Stephanie. Stephanie Fullerton. There you go. All right. I wanted to take the opportunity as president to thank you guys for all of your hard work and commitment to the YWCA. Ashley, as well as myself, truly appreciate everything that you do. We could not do it without you. So thank you very much. Sorry. Any staff members? Mary? I'm sorry.
That's quite all right.
Mary Sturgis is our secretary. I apologize. Thank you, Mary. I appreciate you. I know.
Sorry, it was my fault.
Any staff members, if you could please stand. This is our committed staff that makes, Ashley. That makes our world go round, and this is what gives our board the purpose that we have. Guys, thank you very much for everything that you do. Is there anything that you guys would like to say? I'll give you the mic. No, that's not on the slate. No, I'm just kidding. Will you please? Cue Amy. Thank you.
All right, I'm Amy from Fun Factory. I do have the Fun Factory room open, and I'm super excited because Fun Factory has two poles very similar to this, but that are not as pretty. And the children would run into them all the time. And I'd like to take the credit myself, but it was Pinterest. And I have turned them into trees. And not one child has run into a tree. So I'm excited. It's kind of a winter jungle shamrock theme over there. So please stop in and see. We're finishing up our year here. It's great. We're full numbers here. We're enrolling for summer. It is almost full. Taking enrollments for next year. 2015, and I have one for 2016 already. So Fun Factory is doing very well, and with Lacey and Mina, there's never a dull moment over there. We love it, so full steam ahead for Fun Factory. Thank you.
Becky, will you please come up? Thanks. It's your turn.
Oh, thank you. I'm Becky Edwards, and I work in the Housing and Supportive Services Department. Basically, I do the rental assistance program, and I help coordinate the St. James House program. Amy's a hard act to follow, and I'm not much of a speaker, so this will be brief. We serve the homeless population of Titusville. And surrounding areas. Sometimes we do get folks in from out of state. We have pretty much capability to serve about 20 people at one time. This last fall and winter, we've had some really high numbers compared to past years. The last year, we probably had about 60 people, women and children, come through our shelter. It's not just a shelter over there, though. It's a housing program. It's a start, a restart. I don't want to say it's a handout. It's a hand up. We partner with a lot of the different agencies in town, do a lot of networking there, so that folks can get started again, whether they come in with say, no income, or they need food stamps. You know, references to where can I go to get help for this or that, or counseling, things like that. So we're here. Pretty much the shelter is open 24/7. My right-hand lady, Gloria Randall, is not here tonight. She's not feeling well. Gloria is our live-in resident aide, and she oversees the day-to-day operation, keeps the order, so to speak, over there. If you can imagine having, you know, 10 people in one house, maybe 15 people, different walks of life, different traditions, different ways, so you've got to come together. Our program is, I don't want to say it's popular. We can't, you know, really take out an ad for homelessness. There's not really, you know, a way to talk that up a lot, but we do have a really nice program. We do rely a lot on donations in our community. We get grants that help cover, like, the stay, the shelter nights. That goes towards, like, our utilities, some of the purchases over there. But we do rely a lot on the community for donations. Like, say, for instance, somebody comes in, say they do have food stamps. That's great. That's going to get them going. But they don't have cash assistance. So cash assistance doesn't pay for, like, toilet paper, paper towels, laundry soap, just a lot of things like that, dish soap, you know, your everyday things that you don't think of, toothpaste, you know, shampoo, hand lotion, things like that. So we rely on our community, and our community does help out a great deal. So anyway, we've been there for 20 years, is that right? We just had our 20th last year. And I did actually, thank you. There's been a lot of people before me that have coordinated and got the program going, so we're trying to, you know, keep it going, keep it strong. I think that's about all I have.
Can you mention that the women of the house do come over and help at Fun Factory?
Oh,
too.
they do.
We have the very messy guinea pig over there. They help. They just run
They do.
Sweepers and bathroom duties. So
Right.
We appreciate that.
Right.
a
I
lot.
mean, everybody helps out with chores at the St. James house, kind of like what you do at home. You know, your dishes, your kitchen, your vacuuming. Everybody, we have a chore list. We all help out with that. A way of giving back to the community, because we don't charge rent there. The ladies do community service hours. So first and foremost, they usually do things for us here, extra cleaning, like Amy said, for Fun Factory. Right, and they do help out at all our special events. Sometimes getting it going, sometimes manning them, you know, manning booths, manning tables, things like that. They also help out at the St. James Soup Kitchen on Tuesday and the Senior Center on Thursday evenings. They do a rotated schedule there. So they do try to give back to the community for, you know, the help that they get too. So I think that's all I have. If you have any questions or anything about the program, if not, enjoy your evening.
Now I'd like to take the opportunity to recognize Ms. Thelma Blood, who was the executive director of the YWCA for over 20 years. It is an honor and a pleasure to have you here tonight, Thelma. Thank you for your continued support. And now I'd actually like to turn the mic over to Linda, who's going to give us a brief history of the YWCA.
Well, kind of. Kind of, maybe not. In Saturday's paper.
They can't hear you.
Well,
You got to talk in this. Here, we're going
Right.
to pull it down a little bit.
wait, I'll just,
I don't want to mess
I
up your
don't
mic,
know.
Lucas.
well,
Don't let your wife touch
okay,
it.
all right. In the yesterday column, there was mention of the YWCA. Did you see it? Did you read it? It talked about the property over between here and the street and the building and Dallas's house. And the fact that it was given, this was a 1939 excerpt from the paper. So I told Ashley, well, I'm going to check this out. And I got in the history books and I started looking at stuff. And I don't know about this property right here. I mean, why would that house have this as its backyard? You know, it wouldn't be. So that's one thing. I don't know How? Well, I know, but did we buy it from someone? Did somebody give it to us? I don't know. Anyway, when I looked in the history book, and the history book, about 10 years ago or so, Ruth Feldbauer was president of the YWCA. And one of the first times I ever met Ruth, I had read in the paper that the Historical Society, that's how I got messed up with the Historical Society, they were going to St. Stephen's Church, which is the oldest church in our area. It's a Catholic church out on Spring Creek Road, about a mile out of town, right where Windfall goes off to the left. And it was going to be open. It's only open one day a year, and that's St. Stephen's Day. Don't ask me exactly when that is, but it's kind of early in the, might be May or June, I don't know. So I thought, well, I want to see that little church because I'd driven by it about 1,000 times. So I went. Well, when we were done there, the people said, well, now we're going to the Catholic church, going to St. Titus. So I tagged along. And when I got there, what we went to see was Ruth Feldbauer had I don't know how many scrapbooks showing the history of St. Titus Church and all of the things that had gone on. And they were beautiful. And so, of course, I said, Ruth, we need that for our Y stuff. So she and Thelma worked up. There's a little room up in the upstairs that had a bunch of important documents, probably. But anyway, they went up there and went through it, and they put together 2 nice, big scrapbooks, which... Right, yes. Yeah, Thelma was there, but she didn't do much. So anyway, I went to look at these, and of course, we need to buy a new one because the cover's off one. But anyway, I looked through there, and it started talking about in 1922, the Scheides were going to buy this property, that empty lot where the jungle gym and stuff is right now. They bought that, and we're going to give it to the YWCA and raise the house that was there. This was in 22. And it said something about the fact that, and this was kind of a little confusing, that Mr. Hyde, I don't know whether he kind of owned it at that time, because this was originally the Hyde house before it was the Fertig house. All right, whether he owned that property where these other people lived, I don't know. But anyway, he gave the YW $300 back of the purchase price, I guess, that the Scheides paid. Well, that was in 1922. And then, the way the thing in the paper for 1939 talked, it was as though nothing had really taken place till 1939 for some reason, because it talked about the family that lived there and how long they'd lived there and all that type of thing. And so then I got to thinking about this spot, because I told you last year that in 1916, some teenagers went to Meadville and saw a YWCA, and they came back, remember, we need one in Titusville, all right? And so one of the mothers got busy, and she looked around town, and this house, the Hyde house, had only been lived in for about 6 years. And then it was bought by Fertigs. And anyway, for the last 6 years, up till 1916, it had been empty. So she had them open it up so she could go through and look at it and see if it was going to be an acceptable building. So after that, in about let me see. I can't remember, Thelma. Can you remember what year? The kitchen? In the 30s. 29, I guess. Was it 29? This was? I thought it was 27. 27. Okay, well, anyway, they built this building. They decided they needed $50,000. Their first thing got them over $30,000, so they had enough to start. And of course, they got it paid for, this activity building. But I don't know why it's here. I don't know where this land came from. And so that kind of threw my whole story all kind of goofy, and especially when I found out that there was something that said kind of the opposite thing of what the Herald said the other day. So probably what I need to do is go look in old Heralds to see what they said back in 1922 is related to 19 part, huh? Yeah, right. So anyway, so I don't really have a report on that. That's really true and accurate. But the other thing I'd like to say is, we had a revolution. We were almost overthrown back in 2001. A bunch of women on the East Coast, and especially young people, thought that, we are the only autonomous women's group in the world, YWCAs. And they thought men should belong because, first of all, they said men have most of the money. And, of course, if you know anything about money, you know that's not true. Women have most of the money. And so anyway, we had this very contentious annual meeting of the YWCA of the USA. And Marianne Forbes went, and Ruth Feldbauer went, and I went as an observer. And this was the first big YWCA meeting I'd ever been to. Thelma has been to sundry different meetings of the YWCA. You should talk to her sometime about when they changed our mission has changed down through the years. And Thelma was at a very momentous change, I think it was 67, where they worked very hard on the mission of the YWCA and to bring to the forefront our women of color and the rights that they should have. Anyway, I just thought I would mention that, and I might find a few other things to say later on. We've learned a lesson here. Don't ask Linda to say it.
No, Linda's a great supporter of the YWCA. She has been for years, and we love her very much. And she's one of my historians who I can always go to for help. So I guess one of the things I would like to say, again, is we have a fantastic staff here. They make my job very easy. And as we talk about the state of the YWCA, our two core programs that we have here are very strong. We couldn't ask for better staff. They do a fantastic job, and they serve the community so very well, whether it's through our housing program in the St. James House with Becky and Gloria, or the job that they're doing at Fun Factory with Amy, Lacey, and Mina. I just can't say enough about the work that they do and what they give back to the community in doing so. And I'd also like to thank all of our board members because they bring an amount of energy to the organization, and they're a great help and support to me. And as I look around the room and I see some faces that are new to the YWCA and some faces who have been longtime friends of the YWCA, it's very good to my heart because I love coming to work every day and I love being a part of this organization. And I was speaking earlier to Thelma about, I remember I was probably about 11, 12 years old and was at an annual meeting. And what a great thrill that was. So as I think about that, one of our challenges is to get young women back and interested in the YWCA and what our mission is and what we're all about. So as I talk to you about the state of the YWCA, I'm going to say our core programs are fabulous. Of course, we always face that costs rise, grant money declines, but the support that we have within the community is amazing. And if we didn't have that community support that comes out and helps us, whether it's through your United Way contributions or direct contributions to the YWCA and our programs, we wouldn't be doing so good. But I think that we do good service here and that the community recognizes that and that we're supported and such. In terms of our other programming that we offer, we've got lots of fun stuff that we like to do. We've had some fabulous parties that some of you have been to, whether it's our princess party or the spa night we had. We did planes, trains, and automobiles. We've had the Winter Olympics one night. All kinds of fun things for kids. We were showing you earlier the video with iGirl. We're partnering with different organizations around the community to do different events, whether it's arts that we're doing with the Titusville Council on the Arts, or we're working with the University of Pittsburgh with advocacy and education. We're looking for those partnerships, the school district, for Martin Luther King Day. We're always looking for partnerships and way to do things that aren't being offered already in the community. So that is definitely one of our goals that we have here at the YWCA. We want to enhance services. We don't want to duplicate services. We're looking for new things that we can always do and what's needed in the community. Just last week we worked with the tobacco cessation program to do Kick Butts Day in Titusville. Had a great time doing it. Brought kids in and talked about tobacco prevention. So we always have new things going on, and my feeling is if somebody comes to me and says, hey, let's give this program a try, I'm always willing to try just about anything as long as it's within our mission and makes sense. Why not? The worst that happens is, maybe we don't get the turnout we like, but we'll probably try it again another time if we believe in that program and thinks it would be a great idea for us. Our buildings. We maintain 3 buildings here at the YWCA. Very proud of them. I love bringing people into our buildings and seeing them. They're old, they're historic. They all have their troubled areas, but we love them, and I think they are a gem in the community, and what an asset they are, whether it's the St. James House, which the Episcopal Church owns, but we maintain and operate, our historic administrative building, and even this building with all of its little quirks. We love it. we really do. We love it. And I think of all the history when I'm up in that gym doing a little Zumba of the women that played basketball there, and when that was the only place in town that they had an opportunity for women to be physically active and fit. So I don't think we can ever just rest and say, oh, good, we're doing good. There's always work to be done. There's always things that we can improve on, things we can do better. But I am here to say the YWCA is doing pretty good. When we started a while back, we had concerns about whether we'd still be here, and I remember Lacey does our books. And we going to be here this year or not, or are we going to make it? And through the work of the staff and the board and our volunteers, we're doing well, and I think we're providing good service, and so everyone should be very proud of themselves. The one thing that I really will challenge everybody in this room is, like I said, as I see new friends and friends that have been with us for years, is there's still, our mission is to eliminate racism and empower women. And a lot of times we think, oh, we're there, there aren't, we don't have those problems. But one, we're going to act locally, think globally, because there's still much work that needs to be done in the United States. But when we think of people around the world, boy, do we know there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And as Linda mentioned, we are the only women's organization that is solely run and operated and for every woman in the world today. And that's very important to us, and it's very important to me. So again, I thank you. We are going to be doing, got some business to do, so we'll be focusing on that. And I think, yes. It'll come back to you when we have our discussion, because we're going to discuss some things a little bit later. So, Amy.
My agenda. Keep me on track. I actually get to call this meeting to order. If you did take a moment to review the 2013 meeting minutes, I'd like to take a vote to accept those minutes. Stephanie votes to accept. Sherry votes to second. Thank you. Treasurer's report. Sherry Hamilton. Yes, please. If I can do it, you can do it, Sherry.
Here, and I'm like, you're not gonna like the view from that angle.
We won't be looking in the mirror.
Yours is much smaller than mine is. I can't see it, so that's good. As you probably all know, balance sheets are boring and complicated, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, but we have, very simply put, we're doing well. We have a stable financial picture, which is wonderful. The 2013 financial records are currently being audited, and we don't expect any problems. Jim, we talked to him a couple weeks ago. He's very pleased with the progress we've made over the last few years. The staff's very good at being frugal and finding the most effective cost solutions to problems. Lacey does an excellent job of keeping it all organized so that I know what I'm looking at when I look at it. If you have any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them. One of the things that the board did do on the financial side is we, in an effort to rebuild our endowment, which we started doing a couple of years ago, we interviewed a couple of different investment advisors over the last few months. And they both gave such good presentations that we decided to split the funds that we had and let them both have some and then reevaluate it at year end. The one company that we went with offers what they call an SRI, which is a socially responsible investing option, where companies and industry groups can be eliminated if they're against your views or your mission. And so we chose to exclude companies that advocate alcohol and adult entertainment, and companies that do not have at least one woman or a minority on their board of directors. So that was kind of an interesting thing. We got to be socially conscious with some of our money. Northwest Savings also made a strong presentation. We liked their model where they invest in alternative things like commodities and real estate and things you don't normally, but that really affects the whole market. So they both agreed that they will keep us in a limited risk environment, and so we're real pleased with that. We look forward to looking at that at the end of the year. I noticed that when Ashley distributed our year in review, it's interesting to note that we recently received some local foundation, charitable foundation money to help us with our administrative costs and our programs, which is very helpful, and we're always looking for alternative funding sources. But 30% of the organization, their funding comes from those types of things, comes from grants and community support. But 47%, almost half of our funding, comes from our programs, our tuition, donations, our membership. So our most valuable assets are still you. Our staff, which is excellent, and they are wonderful, and I'm taking nothing away from them, but that still does not make her job easy. Believe me, you guys are great, but she still works very, very hard as well. But our staff, our volunteers, our program participants, our community, our mission supporters, and like I said, most importantly, our members. So thank you all very much. I can't remember what exactly that was. It's over 1,000, I think. Did you remember how much income is generated from the Book Nook?
I'm not gonna say exactly because it varies, but we make over $1,000
Yeah,
a year.
I was looking at percentages, so I didn't know exactly. Yeah.
And the great thing about the Book Nook the great thing about our Book Nook, which is our used bookstore, people donate their books when they're done with them. So we're doing a little recycling for you as you have your spring cleaning. Fiction books only in good condition, please. But all the money that we raise goes back into our programs. And the other thing is, what amazes me is the number of people that come into our building, and they're always shocked by how gorgeous our building is, because it's gorgeous. And they say, I've never been in here. I didn't know you were here. Well, we've been here since 1917, and they've lived in town most of their lives. But I'm thrilled that they did finally make it into the YWCA, and that gives us an opportunity to talk about our mission and our programs and how they can become involved. So the bookstore has a lot of different options besides just giving people a good read every now and then. So, and the other thing I've got to plug, because today we had a very generous donation for the St. James House. Somebody came in, they'd gone out to Walmart and stocked their carts, and they brought it in, and we were so thrilled because it was all items, consumable products that we need and use every day at the St. James House. And she said, I never knew that that was your program. I never knew that the shelter was there. Again, we celebrated 20 years this July. So, ladies, we need to shout it out. We're here, and we're doing good work, and we want you to know about it. So, bylaws are living, breathing documents, and we want to make sure that what our bylaws says is what we're doing, and what we're doing is what our bylaws say. And so it became important as YWCA has since gone back to a national model. It had left that model for a little over a decade. So they've gone back to a national model, and we needed to update our bylaws to reflect what national wants us to be doing. So one of the things is there is no longer any mention of the Mid-Atlantic region in our bylaws because it no longer exists. It has been dissolved. We report now directly to YWCA USA. So that is a part of our mission, or not our mission, I'm sorry, our bylaws. So that is in there. They also have recommended that we combine our association bylaws and our board of directors bylaws into one document, which is done. These bylaws were electronically sent out to board members, any interested members of the YWCA, and then we also gave some paper copy, and I've received comments back from various folks. The other thing that they added to the bylaws, which we felt was important, was adding things like conflict of interest, electronic voting, ability for boards to vote via email, which has become pretty commonplace for associations anymore. Indemnifying, making sure that we have directors and officers insurance, again, which we've had and is very important, but it was not in our bylaws that we would have those items. So those are things that, like I said, we are required by YWCA USA to have updated our bylaws. We have since done that, and folks have had time to look at these over the last couple weeks. Did we have questions that we wanted to? Okay. If there's no questions, like I said, I do think it's very important. And one of the things that I've learned is that we're doing, like I said, if you're not doing what your bylaws say, then you either need to do what the bylaws say, or you need to make sure that your bylaws are reflective of where you are. And organizations are living, breathing organisms that do make changes. I'm frequently quoted as this isn't my mother's YWCA. It has changed a lot since when I was a young girl, as our communities changed, as our worlds changed. So that is something, thus our bylaws change. So if there's no questions, comments, then we need.
It's not over yet, because actually next is the most exciting part of the night, which is Volunteer of the Year, and I'm not going to steal any of Ashley's thunder.
I've talked with different board members, because everybody who helps out at the YWCA is so amazing. But thinking about who's that person who has really gone above and beyond, and has supported the organization in numerous ways. And as I talked with different folks, we were in agreement that person for 2013 was my mother, Cheryl Scott. Come on up. What I wanted to say, when I took this job, she had no idea that she was also taking on a new job, that she'd be my coworker. She is here at every princess party, every event that we do, whether it's a fundraiser or we're doing a program for kids, whether it's come help me clean up, I need you to look this over for me. She's always there. She volunteers her time 2 days a week for I don't know how many years now that we've been doing Strong Women, Strong Bones. She comes in and leads a group of amazing women to be strong and healthy. And just the other day, Amy said to me, they have such a good time over there. I can hear them laughing. That over those 3 and 4-year-olds, they can hear these women over here for Strong Women, Strong Bones. So I love her and don't know what I'd do without her. And she's a great friend of the YWCA. The last part that I wanted to share with you, and we can cut it if everybody's like snoozing, we'll give it a cut. But we started the night hearing from President Obama about his thoughts, which I thought were made me think when I saw that interview, when I saw that press conference about what would have happened had that been in reverse? What if Trayvon had stood his ground? We don't even have to ask. And hearing from our president talk about his thoughts as an African-American male, someone who has young children. So I wanted to share a couple clips because we live in a video age, and we're just gonna play the videos if I can get it to work, and see what you think about that.
One thing too to think about, not only are states that have your stand your ground laws not interested in getting rid of them, more and more states are interested in adding them to the law of their state. I think that's really frightening.
This is just 2 short clips of young women, and I'm hoping they play right, in their experience with racism.
And I believe that racism still exists. In 2012, I had the opportunity to work with the Obama campaign in Jacksonville, Florida. And from time to time, we'd be tasked with making phone calls to people within the community just to find out if they would be voting for the president in the upcoming election. I took pride in what I was doing, but that wasn't something that I guess the people on the other end of the line could agree with all the time. Sometimes when I got on the phone, people assumed that I was white because of the way that I sounded. And that was fine. That was something I had grown up with, knowing that that was, something that people expected. So when I would ask them if they were going to vote for the president in the upcoming election, their response would be, no, because he's there. And I'd say, excuse me? And they'd say, no, I'm not voting for him. And I'd say, okay, well, I completely understand that, but can you tell me, something that he hasn't done or something that he's done that you don't agree with? For me, for example, I'm a woman, and I know that he's done a lot of things for women, and I believe that you're a woman as well. Is there something that, he's done that you don't agree with? No, I don't care about what he's done. It doesn't matter. I'm not voting for him. And that was the response, and they would hang up the phone. And so I know in 2012 and in 2013 that, racism still exists. So I'm a Junist, and my story challenges the belief that race is no longer a problem in this country.
My name is Melon, and I believe racism is still a problem. Growing up in Cobb County, which is predominantly white, I had 2 friends. Well, I had one friend growing up, and me and my brother were good friends with them. I was friends with the sister, and my brother was friends with the little brother. And we would play at each other's house every single day. And one day, the younger brother's birthday came up, and he told his mother who he was going to invite, and so she could gather, the party favors and everything like that. And the mom noticed that all the boys that he was going to invite happened to be black, and she kind of, paused for a moment and was like, so are you sure that is that what you want to do? You want to invite all those people into our house? And he was like, yeah, Mom, they're my friends. And she was like, are you sure you want to have all those black people in our house? And then, I took that as my cue to leave. But I mean, when I was a child, I didn't really see much of that, as being an issue because, I was a child, I didn't understand. But growing up, it just, now looking back, it kind of, made me realize that, the fact that race was an issue, I didn't understand it at first, but, now it's just, it seemed like, that was a problem. But anyways, my name is Melon, and my story challenges the belief that race is no longer an issue in our country.
Hi, my name is Phyllis Undershoots, and this is adapted from a story in my book, Longing, Stories of Racial Healing. I can't think of a finer way to spend my time than sitting around a cozy kitchen table with my girlfriends, drinking good coffee and sharing bits of ourselves together in that wonderfully intimate way that women have when we're feeling safe with each other. And it was in just such a setting that I found myself late one October afternoon, 1997, in New London, Connecticut. Sitting with me at the table were Catherine and Georgia, funny, intense, passionate women whose company I just couldn't seem to get enough of. We were fairly new friends, but we were having this sisterly feeling kind of wash over us in great waves of laughter and companionship. We'd been talking about our children and kind of sharing stories of parenting, and at one point I noticed a definite shift in the energy of the conversation, and all of a sudden, one of the women and then the other also started talking about these anguished decisions that they had to make as the mothers of black teenage boys. As they talked, their sentences sped up, and pretty soon they were kind of talking over one another, and everything was kind of jumbled together. It was as if two different voices were coming out of two different mouths, but they were really the same voice. They were saying the same things, and I heard snatches. I remember hearing them say, they were just driving along. They weren't doing anything wrong. They're stopped just because they're black. Really, they weren't doing anything wrong. And all of a sudden, somebody's screaming at them through the window of their car, show me your license, show me your registration. And they're flustered. They don't know what to do. And I have to teach my son how to move his hands so slowly so that they won't think he's reaching for a weapon. And I had to teach my son exactly what to do, what to say, how to look, which words he should use, and which words he should never, ever say. Otherwise, he might be shot. And one of them said to me, can you imagine what that feels like? Having to teach your son those things? Their faces had gotten kind of rigid and tough as they spoke, as if any softness in such matters, even speaking them to me, could be deadly for their sons. And me, I just sat there and tried to empathize. I tried to swallow my horror. I tried to stand in solidarity with them, and say something like, yes, I can see what you're saying. I can relate to what you're telling me. But no, instead, this horror just rose up in my throat, acidic, and I wanted to purge it by screaming out my shock and my disbelief. I wanted to say, here? Seriously, that happens here in New England? What did I think? Did I think it happens only in the South? Or did I truly, on some level, think it happens only on TV and in the movies? I wanted to say, those sweet boys, how could that possibly happen to them? But you see, if I'd said anything like that, that would have just diminished their gift to me. And so I gave them back the only thing I had of equal value, which was my honesty. And I had to say, no, I can't imagine what that feels like. And what I didn't say was not only can't I imagine it, but I don't have to imagine it, you see, because I'll never have to teach my son those things. Not quite 3 years later, in the summer of 2000, my husband and I were having dinner in a restaurant with our son, Eric. We were in Wilmette, Illinois. And Eric was about 21 years old at the time, if I remember correctly. And we were having the greatest time with our waitress. Her name was Randa. Randa was African American. She was probably in her mid-30s, I'm guessing, and she was just one of these people, makes you feel like you've been friends forever, just vibrant and connective. So towards the end of our meal, Randa came over to our table, and she was carrying the pot of coffee to pour us some more. And we started talking about our kids. I think she told me a story about her young daughter. And, you know, as she was talking and we're sharing about parenting in these chaotic times, the tone of her conversation shifted. I should have recognized that shift, but I didn't. And she got real serious and quiet, and all of a sudden she said, you know, it's not actually my daughter I'm worried about. She said, I have a teenage son, and I am so worried about him. There's so much he has to deal with out there. And her face had just lost its animation and its joy and its brightness and just become burdened and weighed down and fearful looking. And I thought, oh, I wanted to say something just to reassure her, just to make her feel better. And I thought, I know what she's feeling because I've raised a teenage son. I know how hard that is, watching them struggle into maturity. And I was thinking of my 21-year-old, I was thinking, God, things got so much better as he got older. And so instead of taking her hand, which is what I initially wanted to do, I just gestured over to my son, Eric, as evidence that I knew what I was talking about. And I looked at her earnestly and I said, you know what? I just want to tell you that it gets better. It gets better. The closer your son comes to adulthood, the better it's going to get. The older he is, the easier it will be. I promise. See, and then everything changed. The light just went out of Randa's eyes. Before there'd been something flowing, and now this heavy veil fell between us. The light was gone, the warmth, the trust, all of that connection, gone. She was gone. And in her place was this woman standing rigidly with a pot of coffee and these blank eyes that just looked straight ahead, and she just dropped our check on the table. She said, yeah, whatever, if you say so. And then she turned and walked away. And it was like I'd been slapped in the face. I thought, what happened? I just went over every word in my mind. I couldn't imagine. Had I said something to upset her? I started thinking through memories of conversations with other black women, thinking maybe there I would find some clue as to what I'd said. And you know, as soon as I did that, didn't take but a minute, and I was back in Connecticut, sitting at the table with Catherine and Georgia and listening to them express what? Not their excitement for their sons to get older, but no, their wish that their sons could stay young forever, knowing that the older they got, the more danger they'd be in. Hearing their anguish as they talked about sending these precious young men out each day into a society that perceives black males as criminals. And then hearing again my own admission, no, I don't know what that feels like. So now I knew what it was that had shattered the trust. I knew what I'd said, because my promise, you see, was a fraud. Things were not necessarily going to get better for her son as he got older. And in fact, it was likely that they would get worse. It was likely that the closer he came to adulthood, the more frequently he would be perceived as dangerous, and therefore the more danger he would be in. And the thing is, I knew this and I forgot. How is that possible to forget a truth like that? I ask myself, is this one of the elements of sneaky white privilege? Having the option to know something, to know a truth, and then forget it because I think that it doesn't apply to my life. And because of my forgetting, any hopefulness that woman had felt had been replaced by the inescapable reality that I was just one more ignorant white woman who actually thought I knew what she faced in her life. So I was sitting there and I'm thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And as soon as I said that, Catherine and Georgia came to my rescue once again. I could see and hear them, I tell you, as clearly as if they were sitting right at that table with me, finishing up their coffee. And they just looked at me. They just looked into my face and they said, get up off your butt, girl, and do something. And I'm talking to them, these invisible women, and I'm saying, I know I will, honest, I will, but I don't know what to do. And their voices came in a chorus, yes, you do know. And they were right, I did. I excused myself from the table, and I went to look for Randa. And I looked for her in the lobby. I looked for her all around the restaurant. I even went in the smoking section in the back, which they had back in those days. I even went in the restroom and looked under the doors of the stalls, trying to find her, and I couldn't. And I was ready to go into the kitchen. if I had to. And fortunately, I didn't have to go that far because I looked up and Randa was coming out through the heavy kitchen doors and she was carrying a big tray covered with plates of food. And she just stopped when she saw me still, and I stood in front of her just still myself, waiting for some kind of inspiration. And finally, I just opened my mouth and I just let the words fall out, ineloquent and awkward. And I said to her, I'm sorry. I just want to tell you that I'm sorry. I know things are not the same for your son as they are for mine. I know that things will only get harder for him as he gets older. And I knew that. I knew it already, but I forgot. And I know how much I hurt you, and I'm sorry. And I couldn't see any clue on her face about how she felt. And she just looked at me for a really long time. And then she turned and, I thought she was just going to walk away, which I wouldn't have surprised me really. But she didn't walk away. She set her tray down on a table and she turned back to me. And then she reached out her arms and she took me in her arms. She took me and she held me. And we hugged each other really tightly for several minutes. And then all of a sudden, in that hug, she put her head down on my shoulder and she started to weep. And I tell you, I don't know how long we stood in that embrace, but we were there. We were consoling, rocking, weeping together, each of us giving and taking comfort at the same time. And all the activities of the restaurant bustled unheeded around us. And when her tears were finally spent, she stepped back and looked at me and she managed a small smile and she said, it is going to be okay. She said, with you and me, people like us working together, with the help of God, it'll be okay. We'll do it with His help. Now, I just dumbly nodded my agreement. I couldn't speak. I don't remember who looked away first. I don't remember how we parted. I don't remember how I got out the door and into the car. I just remember the rocking and the weeping and the consoling and feeling that web of connection being rewoven as we stood there together. And the only thought in my mind, the only clear thought I had at that moment was, there's a different promise I need to make. And this is the promise that for the rest of my life I will work for unity, I will work for healing, I will work for justice. That is a promise I can make, and that is a promise that with the help of God I can keep.
I hated to cut that off early because I just thought it was so powerful at the end. And as we talk about diversity, I think it's very important. We recognize that we are different. We recently had a woman come into our Fun Factory room and talk about diversity with children. And the message was so wonderful because we're different, but we all deserve respect. We all deserve fairness. We all deserve that promise of a good life. And when it's being decided based on the color of our skin, or our gender, or whatever the case may be. So that would be what I think about in her message at the end is justice, respect, opportunity for everybody. Celebrate our differences, of course. How wonderful that we are different, because how boring if we weren't. Celebrate our differences, but recognize how similar we all are and how two mothers can connect in unity, or how two individuals can have that moment where they share. So I'd encourage you to do that. So we can certainly have discussion here at some point. I know that there's some of you that need to get home. You got kids waiting or whatever. April 5th, the University of Pittsburgh, Stephanie Feely, has been helping me with this, and our board member Trish Ongley has been a big help in putting this together. We are having the 5K Race Against Racism at the University of Pittsburgh. It is free for any student, whether they're 2 or 20. Okay, if you're a student somewhere, we want you to come and participate and be a part of the celebration of diversity. Otherwise, for any adult, whether you want to walk or run, it is a timed race. We're only charging $10 to be in the race, $15 to be in the race with the t-shirt. So if you're available, we would love to have you come out and support this event in Titusville. Have a lot of fun and enjoy difference. And what? Yes, we are having a peep show. We are having a peep show with the Arts Council, April 12th. So you can come to the race on the, actually, we're cheerleading this weekend here at the YWCA, March 28th. We're bringing in 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. University of Pittsburgh Titusville cheerleaders will be here to help us out with that. And then K-5 through 3rd grade is coming in Saturday morning, and Trish has been working on a dance for the girls. And we'll be doing that this weekend. April 5th, we will be racing against racism. April 12th, the peep show will be up in the gym. We will also be having a lunch as a little fundraiser. So you can come in, get lunch, see the peep show, enjoy the Arts Council, and then we will have some local women businesses available in the downstairs area for people to get a chance, maybe do a little Easter shopping, a little bit of shopping for Mother's Day, and just see what's available out there for that. So.
Registration for the peep shows is open.
So if you
would like to make their own wonderful marshmallow masterpiece, please call the Arts Council and you may do so. It's $5 to register. You can pay when you bring it in though, so no pressure or commitment ahead of time. Just let me know if you're interested. And Wednesday morning actually will be on the morning drill with Luke talking about peep shows, so tune in.
Peep shows. So.
Do you have the dates for the golf tournament? Yeah.
Golf tournament is July, it's a Wednesday afternoon, July 16th, 17th.
It's the 3rd.
It's the, yeah.
Third Wednesday?
May dance, May 10th.
July 16th is the golf outing.
Noon shotgun start at Mount Hope Golf Course. Boy, and what else? We got so much going on.
September.
Yeah. There's lots going on. Like us on Facebook, Titusville YWCA, and never miss out on an opportunity to learn and have fun.
How do you get onto it? Like us?
If you go to, when you know how you might search and find a friend, like maybe you wanted to be friends with Linda on Facebook, so you'd put in Linda and find her and click it. If you type in Titusville YWCA, our YWCA page will come up, and then you can go in and then you like our page, and then whenever we post something wonderful going on here at the YWCA, and we also have a Fun Factory page that you can see, and that way you never miss out on any of the great stuff going on here. So, okay. Like I said, I'd like to wrap up the meeting, but anybody who has any comments, anything that they wanted to say about the videos, I challenge everyone to do what Phyllis has done, to make that promise, to have compassion, to have empathy, to show respect, and celebrate difference.
Great job here at the Y.
Our staff, our board, and our community, so thanks so much. Thank you, everybody.